Today we're working on a diorama of Fury. The build process is fairly straightforward, just follow the instructions, and in fact the kit that I used was a Fury themed kit, so there was no modifications that had to be done to get any of the accessories or pieces that the tank and the film had. There is one part that I would like to discuss, and right here you see that I'm applying the mounting brackets for the road wheels or bogies or whatever they call them. I'm gonna call them bogies. Either way, don't correct me if I'm wrong. But the mounting bracket where the bogie attaches to the frame, where the hull of the tank is thin, like a duck's beak almost, in the same type of shape, and it doesn't hold them well. And in fact, I had two or three. No, it was two bogies break off later in the build. So that should be kept in mind if you're ever doing this, to be extra careful. Not much of the build is going to be shown because, as I said, it's fairly straightforward. Here we're just applying a standard coat of Vallejo's olive drab paint through an airbrush, coating the entire vehicle, but throughout the entire paint job I wasn't overly worried about a extremely neat or clean paint job because it's going to be heavily weathered, and any inconsistencies or errors in the paint job I could just cover up later. While at times it can be hard to tell, the tank in Fury actually does have a black camouflage pattern. So what we're doing is we're just painting it, and it's, I guess, tiger stripe. The figures were in no way ideal. The kit didn't provide any that had the pose that I wanted, so they had to be mixed matched together. And painting them, I mean, they came out better than I expected, but worse than I hoped. Frankly, I don't have any experience in painting miniatures or like Warhammer or Wargaming or whatever that's called. It's extremely difficult, and even my finest brush just wasn't fine enough to do the work. Overall, they're probably my biggest disappointment on this. Now I'm just applying all the accessories onto the vehicle. Finally, the hatch for the driver can go on because the turret shouldn't be removed after this point. They give you a string to use to apply the logs, but it's a rather difficult process, so I just ended up gluing them on. An important thing to note when applying the boxes on the back, though, a little late, but yeah, is don't stack them perfectly straight up and down. You know, like they're stacked perfectly on top of each other. Offset them a little bit, angle them, cant them a little, as if they were thrown up there haphazardly or quickly. Now I'm applying some Vallejo Thick European Mud. It's a fantastic heavy mud that really sticks on there. In fact, it's also a glue. Later you'll see it again, and it dries. It takes a while to dry, but it dries into essentially a glue. This is just weathering. I'm applying some Vallejo European dust wash, as well as at later points Vallejo splash mud, European splash mud, and a little bit of light sienna pigment mixed into it. My goal was to heavily weather the tank. I mean, I really wanted to make it look like it was really dirty. Using a cotton swab, I just pull off a little bit of the excess. Here's the European splash mud. It says use an airbrush, and you can. I was just using a toothbrush and fanning it on there, and then applying a little bit with a cotton swab, and then at that point mixing in a little bit of light sienna pigment to create like a muddy paste. That would be slightly, and that muddy paste would be slightly different from the Vallejo Thick European Mud. It gives it a little bit different of a color, like the mud's a little bit drier, been on there a little longer, not as fresh. It's important to weather the top of the turret because the crew spends a lot of time walking on the top of the turret. As before, right now it's just a process of just looking it over and looking for areas that need a little bit more. Although it is important to note, since I'm looking at it, that this tank does not come with an interior. So if you buy a crew, you're gonna have to glue them on, kind of like you see there, with no lower half. It's a fantastic, you know, representation of Fury, but from the exterior only. And here we have it. Overall, I'm pleased with how it turned out. My biggest disappointment, again, would be the figures. Probably the worst part of it, in my opinion. The barrel, the Fury logo or decal on the right side of the barrel actually belongs on the left, but my right side decal was damaged, and so I put the left side one on the right and painted Fury on the left, but didn't care for how it came out, so I put some mud over it and called it a day. Overall, I'm pleased with it. And if you like anything you saw, comment and subscribe.